boy, do we have some catching up to do. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell. Apple has dropped new M4 Macs and the Mini is now faster than the M2 Mac Pro. 8GB is dead, even though it was enough. Qualcomm pissed off Arm, so they might be out of business. Apple bought Pixelmator. Apple TV is becoming a conference suite essential. And is Intel dead now? I'm iCaveDave and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you, and if you want the latest Apple leaks and rumours just a couple of weeks after they happen, like the video, subscribe to the channel and ring my bell. Yeah, apologies for the gap, guys. No voice for a bit and a lot of busy times at work, but we're back. So, M3 is dead. Long live M4. For a year or so anyway. In the 3-day period of mini events, Apple dropped the new iMac with M4, the Mac Mini with M4 and M4 Pro, and the MacBook Pro with all of the above, plus the Macs, in what was absolutely not a single event chopped up into 3, regardless of what other YouTubers might have you think. I'll see you in the comments for a fight. And the M4 is no slouch, but the M4 Pro in the $1,400 Mac Mini is now outperforming the still available M2 Ultra Mac Pro, which starts at $7,000. That machine just can't catch a break. However, it might be about to get even more exciting with M4 Ultra, as if the performance scales similarly to the M2 series, then graphics-wise, its onboard graphics should outperform Nvidia's dedicated 4090 cards, which is a bit insane. And what if the mystical extreme chips that have been rumoured for years for the Mac Pro actually appear? Or pairs of Ultra chips in a Mac Pro? My word. And of course, Apple has upped the base RAM now to 16GB on not only the M4, but confusingly enough, the M2 MacBook Air and the M3 MacBook Air that they still offer. And as I have a 8GB M2 MacBook Air, I'm looking forward very much to that system update coming through. I assume that's going to be how it works. M4 MacBook Air is expected to arrive early next year, with the Mac Pro and Mac Studio later, but probably this side of or at WWDC, which happens in June. In the funniest story of the past couple of weeks, Arm, the company that created the architecture used in, surprisingly enough, Arm chips, like Apple Silicon and your iPhone and everything Qualcomm makes, has notified Qualcomm, the maker of Snapdragon chips, that they're revoking their license to make the chips, which, you know, might be a pretty big deal for them, making stuff or money. And it all comes on the tail of Qualcomm acquiring Nvidia, which was a company set up by former Apple Silicon engineers who were thought to be behind the X Elite desktop chips that finally made people excited about actual ARM-based Windows stuff for the first time. Qualcomm calls the lawsuit baseless, Arm isn't backing down, and the two companies are set to clash in court in December. Will there be a legal stay of execution for Qualcomm? Will they quickly sidestep to RISC-V or some other architecture? It's all very exciting, and while I'm all up for competition and pushing the industry forwards, popcorn is also delicious. And what's better than popcorn? Drawing popcorn on Pixelmator. Who writes this stuff? Apple has bought Pixelmator, the Apple-focused image editor that is probably Adobe's biggest rival in the ecosystem right now. And while I've not watched anyone else's videos about this, I would guess that everyone thinks it's going to be rolled into Apple One subscription, like Apple never does. Pixelmator is more than just one app though, there's Pixelmator Pro and Photomator too. So let's think it through compared to what Apple already has. I think Pixelmator probably becomes free on Apple devices alongside iMovie and GarageBand to kind of fill the gap for image editing there. Pixelmator Pro could be the Final Cut and Logic Pro level app with a one-off cost, and Photomator will either fill the spot left by Aperture or have its features rolled into the Photos app. Now, all of this will need to go through regulatory approval, but it's a huge step. Of course, Apple might be acquiring them simply for the talent and add it to their existing image-based apps like Photos and Apple Intelligence, but I think Pixelmator is well enough known as a brand that Apple would keep it and keep the brand itself around. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments section. Apple TV and the latest tvOS 18.2 update has added options for AirPlay, which look to be geared towards presenting. So these include being able to AirPlay just a single window from your Mac, which means your audience wouldn't have to see those Slack messages that really aren't meant for sharing. Add to that the recently and chronically underused support for continuity camera in FaceTime and other video calls from the TV, and suddenly there feels like there's a bit of a new focus area here where Apple hasn't really been deployed widely before in the TV space. So While Apple keeps telling us that Apple TV is at the heart of their home strategy, we're also seeing its feature support for businesses and hotel room TVs too. And I know I said that the Qualcomm news was the funniest, but spare a thought for Intel in these difficult times. After losing Apple's business in 2022, Apple Silicon, their Arc GPUs making about as big a dent in the market as throwing a snowball at a Cybertruck, and the latest generation of chips being somehow slower than the last generation, it's been rough over there for Pat Gelsinger, to the point where they've now been removed from the Dow Industrial Index, their share price has halved in the last year, and it looks like the US government is trying to prop them up, suggesting mergers with Qualcomm, who won't be able to make anything otherwise, AMD, or ARM. And honestly, will somebody please help them out? They've invested in new chip fabs and then ended up relying on TSMC for anything vaguely cutting edge anyway. It's not looking great for them. Anyway, I think that probably wraps up most of the news that I've missed in the meantime, but what have I forgotten? Leave me a message down in the comments with hashtag iCaveAnswers and I'll address it in a future video if I've missed something that you think I shouldn't have done. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell.